It's been 10 days since Republican Senate candidate Richard Murdoch solidified his standing amongst this election cycle's most bat-crap crazy politicians when he said this.
I think even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, that it is something that God intended to happen.
An October Rasmussen poll before he said those remarks had Murdoch up by 5 points. Today, Murdoch is trailing his opponent, Joe Donnelly, by 11 points. This despite millions of dollars spent on advertising by his Republican supporters and a TV ad featuring Mitt Romney. Joining me now, Anna Marie Cox, political correspondent for The Guardian. Anna Marie, there is trouble in crazy land for the Republicans. Claire McCaskill is ahead of Todd Akin in Missouri in the polls. Allen West is in a tie at basically 47-48 with his challenger, and his challenger has the 48. And in Minnesota, where you are, Michelle Bachmann's in a tight race. How's Michelle doing in Minnesota?
Well, Michelle's actually doing really badly when you consider she's outspent her opponent by about 12-1, and yet she's really running closely with him in part because she showed her inner crazy during her presidential campaign. She showed her inner crazy and then didn't do her district sort of the courtesy of coming back to explain herself later. She just kept being crazy. But, you know, I think there's a lesson for the GOP to learn from all of this. This is what happens when you try to ride the wave of something like the Tea Party without pushing back on the ideological stuff that's objectionable to moderates. This is what happens when you grab onto that momentum just because you need the momentum, because you'll do anything to win, you'll do anything to grab onto something that makes you seem more popular. You wind up with people like this, not in your primaries, but in your general election.
Crazy Joe Walsh is now 10 points behind Tammy Duckworth. He, of course, was the genius who said that there's no such thing as an exception. You don't need an exception for life of the mother in abortion because the life of the mother is never, ever, ever in danger in pregnancy.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't think all men are stupid about women's bodies, but certainly GOP congressmen are, and women aren't. I mean, this is something we're seeing kind of across the line in swing states. Women are paying attention to these races. Women think reproductive rights are important in these races, and these guys apparently just don't understand that that's something that women think about not just as a social issue, but as Obama said in one of those debates, that's an economic issue, that's a personal freedom issue, they're sort of reaping what they have sown, let's say.
And Allen West, who's just crazy across the board, he doesn't limit himself to reproductive issues. He's the one who said that the House Representative has like about 100 communists in it, that sort of thing. He's in a statistical tie, and his opponent's ads have just used quotations from Allen West. Actually, word for word, this is what your congressman has said, and that's the basis of his challenger's campaign, and that has worked for him so far.
Yeah, it seems like to me that actually should also work on the presidential campaign. Some of the stuff Mitt Romney said, especially now about getting rid of FEMA. But yes, Allen West has been allowed to go off the reservation. When you're off the reservation for that long, I think you lose sight of where your boundaries are in any kind of you go off into crazy land and you forget that there is such a thing as sane land. But voters. You know, I've said this before, but voters have a way of shutting that down. You know, voters know crazy when they see it. And when a congressman or when someone who's running for office kind of shows who they are, they will get feedback from voters, and it's not going to be positive.
Anna Marie Cox gets tonight's last word. Thanks, Anna Marie.
Thank you.
Watch a special pre-election edition of The Last Word this Sunday at 10 p.m. The Ed Show is up next.